सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टाप्रयेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरि ओम तत्सत्। ताभ्यां मिसस्तु अनिमेषेषु निषद्यमाना स्वरहत्तमा हि अपि हरे प्रतिहारपाभ्याम् ऊचः सुहृत्तमदिदृक्षितभङ्ग ईषत् कामानुजेन सहसात उपप्लुताक्षा ताभ्यां मिसत्सु अनिमिषेषु निषिध्यमाना स्वरहत्तमा हि अपि हरे प्रतिहारपाभ्याम् ऊचुः सुहृत्तमदिदृक्षित भङ्ग ईषत् कामानुजेन सहसात उपप्लुताक्षा ताभ्यां मिसत्सु अनिमिषेषु निषिध्यमाना सर्वहत्तमा हि अपि हरे प्रतिहारपाभ्याम् ऊचुः सुहृत्तमदिदृक्षित भङ्ग ईषत् कामानुजेन सहसात उपप्लुताक्षा। Word to word. Tabyam. Can you scroll down, Prabhu? Don't let me see. Hold on. Tabyam, by those two porters. Misatsu, while looking on. Animisheshu, demigods living in Vaikuntha. Nishidhyamana, being forbidden. Suarhattama, by far the fittest persons. He api, although Hare of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pratihara Pabhyam, by the two doorkeepers. Uchu said, Suhruttama, most beloved, Didrikshita, eagerness to see, Bange, hindrance, Ishat, slight, Kama Anujena, by the anger brother of lust, anger, Sahasa, suddenly, Te, those great sages, Upapluta, agitated, Aksha, ice. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada ki jai. When the Kumaras, although by far the fittest persons, were thus forbidden entrance by the two chief doorkeepers of Sri Hari, while other divinities looked on, their eyes suddenly turned red because of anger due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved master, Sri Hari, the personality of Godhead. Please repeat. And the Kumaras, although by far the fittest persons, were thus forbidden entrance by the two chief doorkeepers of Sri Hari, while other divinities looked on, their eyes suddenly turned red because of anger due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved master Sri Hari, the personality of Godhead. Big purport is there. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sorry, some disturbances may be there. Some work is going on in my native place in the bathroom. So, 1 minute. Let me see if I can stop that.
We don't hear it.
Sorry for the delay. According to the Vedic system, a sannyasi, a person in the renounced order of life, is dressed in saffron-colored garments. This saffron dress is practically a passport for the mendicant and sannyasi to go anywhere. The sannyasi's duty is to enlighten people in Krishna consciousness. Those in the renounced order of life have no other business but preaching the glories and supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Vedic sociological conception is that sannyasi should not be restricted. That is instruction number 1. We'll see. He is allowed to go anywhere and everywhere he wants. and he is not refused any gift, he might demand from a householder. The four Kumaras came to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. The word Suhruttama, the best of all friends, is important. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, he is the best friend of all living entities. Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam. No one can be a greatest well-wishing friend to any living entity than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is so kindly disposed towards everyone that in spite of our completely forgetting our relationship with the Supreme Lord, he comes himself sometimes personally as Lord Krishna appeared on this earth, and sometimes as his devotee, as did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And sometimes he sends his bona fide devotees to reclaim all fallen souls. Therefore, he is the greatest well-wishing friend of everyone. And the Kumaras wanted to see him. The doorkeeper should have known that the four sages had no other business, and therefore to restrict them from entering the palace was not apt. So there are two instructions there. Now, the second paragraph. In this verse, it is figuratively stated that the younger brother of desire suddenly appeared in the person, and the sages were forbidden to see their most beloved personality of Godhead. So number 3 and number 4 is there about the desire leading to anger and etc. And then forbidding the Vaishnavas. The younger brother of desire is anger. If one's desire is not fulfilled, the younger brother anger follows. Here we can mark that even great saintly persons like the Kumaras were also angry. But they were not angry for their personal interests. They were angry because they were forbidden to enter the palace to see the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the theory that in the perfectional stage one should not have anger is not supported in this verse. Anger will continue even in the liberated stage. These four mendicant brothers, the Kumaras, were considered liberated persons, but still they were angry because they were restricted in their service to the Lord. The difference between the angry of an ordinary person and that of a liberated person is that an ordinary man becomes angry because his sense desires are not being fulfilled. Whereas a liberated person like the Kumaras becomes angry when restricted in discharge of duties for serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the last paragraph. In the previous verse, it has been clearly mentioned that the Kumaras were liberated persons. Viditatma Tattva means one who understands the truth of self-realization. One who does not understand the truth of self-realization is called ignorant. But one who understands the self, the super self, their interrelation and activities in self-realization is called Viditatma Tattva. Although the Kumaras were already liberated persons, they nevertheless became angry. This point is very important. Becoming liberated does not necessitate losing one's sensual activities. Sense activities continue even in the liberated stage. The difference is, however, that sense activities in liberation are accepted only in connection with the Krishna consciousness, whereas sense activities in the conditional stage are enacted for personal sense gratification. We'll try to understand. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Krupa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Denatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhayeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamiham Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So, in this verse, the glories of the four Kumaras have been described in this chapter description of the kingdom of God, and we are also being heard so far about the different, especially Jaya and Vijaya, one of the doorkeepers, the last gate out of 7 gates in Vaikuntha, attendants of the Lord Vishnu, Jaya and Vijaya, obstructing or forbidding or impeding the activities of the pure devotees of the Lord, four Kumaras. Who are these four Kumaras? Some small glorification. They are Siktyavis Avatar, they are empowered incarnation like Narada Muni, like Puthu Maharaj, like Vyasadev. So they are great personalities, empowered incarnations. What are they empowered in? They are empowered in Gnana Shakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is describing it. Sanakadi Gnana Shakti, Narade Shakti Bhakti, Brahmaya Srishti Shakti, Anante Bhudharana Shakti. So the power of knowledge is invested in the four Kumaras. And we'll see that. They are giving how to come out of the anger as it described. That is the crux of the matter. Prabhupada enlightening all of us, saying that is very important in the last paragraph. And we'll see the direct answer from the four Kumaras on that aspect, how to come out of that. Four Kumaras are also called Siddhesuras. They can travel just like Narada Muni. They can appear, they can travel without any machines. People may travel with the three kind of things. There's Kapota Vayu or the, I forget the names, used different kinds of aeroplane. Not that of the material aspect, but at least the mystic potencies, mystic level perfections. But those who are on the Siddha Loka, they can travel without they can just think of in the mind and they can travel anywhere. They don't need to create something. So this is also one of the perfection of these four Kumaras. And they are also mystic brahmacharis. They have achieved all these perfections. Now, and we are also seeing this Jaya and Vijaya description of them, the personalities, various attendants of the 7 gates have been described also by in the Lord Brahma in Canto 2 itself. Bhrutya prasadabhimukham druggas asavam prasanna hasaranalochanaanam kiritinam kundalanam chadurbhujam pitam sukam vakshasi lakshitam sriya. The personality of God you had seen leaning favorably towards the loving servitors. He is very intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet of his head. He had 4 hands and his chest was marked with lines of goddess of fortune. The 4 Vedas, namely Rik, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, present there personally to advise the Lord. The 16 energies headed by Chanda are all presented there. Chanda and Kumuda are the 2 first doorkeepers. And at the middle door, there are doorkeepers are named Bhadra and Subhadra. And at the last door, there are Jaya and Vijaya. There are other doorkeepers for the middle gates, other gates out of 7. Kumuda, Kumudaksha, and Pundarika Vamana, and Sankukarna, and so Mareta, Sumukha. One name is missing. But there are almost 7 pairs, 14 devotees guarding this. Even though there is no need to guard, nothing to be done, but they are serving the Lord. Even though everything is clean, they are brooming. So they are doing all services for the pleasure of the Lord. So that is the beautiful description. We can see now the instruction number 1 is being given in the first lines, that one must not impede the Vaishnavas. One must not forbid the Vaishnavas from the activities of Vaishnava. And we have seen before many times, discussed a few times, how the Saubhari Muni impeded, forbidden Garuda from his natural eating snakes, and then how he was implicated with fruitive activity on Saubhari Muni because of that. And impeding the activities of Vaishnava and instructing spiritual master. We see disciples of Madhavendra Puri, Iswara Puri is the favorable, and the other side Ramachandra Puri was not favorable. Is instructing spiritual master, criticizing. So that is also a great offense. So many other examples are there. That is a number 1 instruction on this verse. And number 2 instruction, since first one we already referred many times, so I'm not going in detail. Number 2 is talking about here sannyasi or sadhu, saint coming. Should not be refused, especially any gift he might demand from a householder. Prabhupada is referring in the purport, which means, so sometimes we may question, as devotees, as leaders, also may question, oh, how come this sadhu or this sannyasi has showed up without notice? Or sometimes we may have question, festivals are going on, why this program is there, that program is there. So this is general Vaishnava etiquette. Whenever a sadhu, especially the sannyasis, comes, it is a general etiquette to conduct whatever to be needed, program or whatever, the best possible way to serve that Vaishnava. Even though there might be some other Vaishnavas already, senior Vaishnavas, some already arranged speaker. If another sadhu, another sannyasi comes, especially saffron colored, whether it is junior or senior doesn't matter, because that's why the instruction is clearly given here. So that is we should all understand from this instruction of Srila Prabhupada from the purport. The sadhu or Vaishnava sannyasi, saint coming, we can't abstract. Even if we are in the middle of festivals, even if he comes without giving any notice, we should honor and serve him to the best possible way, whether we like it or not like it. Many times we may have difference of opinion, may not like. This is the natural tendency we have as a living entity. That's why we are here in this material world. Envious attitude or separate fixed mentality from Srila Prabhupada's desires. So this is an important instruction. We have to consider this in our progress in devotional service. That is the second one. Then the next one, we see that different kinds of friends, and Prabhupada is reiterating that Suhruttama. Mitra is a social friend. You could be, you may have a friend, so in a social level, you may be obligated. He might be expecting something in return. That is Mitra, a bandhu or official friendship. But Suhrut means one actually desires good for his friend always, especially the Supreme Fathers, Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and his representative as the spiritual master. He is desiring always the good of the practitioner of the conditioned soul. So that's why Priya Atma Esra Suhrut. In many different ways, it has been called out in many different verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we must be always thinking that. So that's why Prabhupada says, and Guru Varga says, Prabhupada disciple, when we are praying, please use the word, if you so desire, oh my Lord, if you so desire, please give me this or whatever we are asking. If you so desire, let it be the Lord's plan. Let it not be, because our plan, our desires, our whatever thoughts, it may not be perfect. But if he desires, then he knows exactly what's supposed to be done, what is good for us. So that's why we should add that line before, so that way it comes out perfect. So that's the Suhrut aspect of it. Now coming to the aspect of the anger, that is the next important instruction. So hopefully time permits to cover that. So the anger aspect has been mentioned here. Transcendental anger exhibited by the four Kumaras, and the anger is exhibited by the quality of mode of passion and ignorance as conditioned souls. So Sri Prabhupada gives from Nectar of Instruction, he talks about this. So where this anger is coming from? This is coming from the unrestricted attachment, right? Because of the believing in fruitive results. So that's why we have to give up attachment to the results. We should perform our activity, but we shouldn't be attached to the results in first place. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita, in the first 6 chapters itself, that is been talked about multiple times, about giving up attachment to the results. Anasaktasya. So anasrita karma phalam karyam. So a few other places also. So that is the first point. Prabhupada is making unrestricted attachment. This is causing anger. Beliefs based on materialistic desires. That second, this is also called avirodha priti. Technical term used is unrestricted attachment is called avirodha priti. Anger is coming. And the second way of anger is coming from frustration. So cannot fulfill our plans. Whatever we might be thinking of something, but we are not able to fulfill. So when it is frustrated, and anger is coming, this is called virodha yukta krodha, anger arising from frustration. So anger, it could frustrate sometimes. We may have, we may not like someone, so it may be keep on boiling inside the heart. Suddenly it comes out like a bursting. So we will immediately criticize or use so many foul language. Even, we are not supposed to criticize or be envious of any ordinary living entity. Forget about devotees. So that is injunction given out of 64 items, 64 instructions by Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is the first aspect in anger we are seeing. Now, how we can come out of this anger? So four Kumaras are giving the solution, how to come out of this anger. Before that, and the Prabhupada also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that how these unwanted desires, orders of lusty desires, unwanted orders of lusty desires. And then Prabhupada also in the conversation or in by one of his disciple, Atma Tattvadas, or Swami Atmananda, before becoming initiated, describing. So one time it was, I think, at the time of initiation, he was talking. So he saw, because he had some infection in his mouth, then it was smelling. Then why don't you clean your teeth properly? Then he talked about this. Then he talked about in detail in the class. Material life is an infection. And then he talked about it is just like he showed his hand, and then it is like this itching sensation. These desires are like itching. He keeps scratching. It is itching. He keeps scratching. And you go on like that, but you will stop. Not because your desires are fulfilled. No, because blood comes. Then you stop. So like that, the material desires we have, kamadinam katina katida palita dunya desha. Tesha jata maina karuna na tapat trapa na upasanti utsrijyatam ata yadupate sampraptam labda buddhis tvam ayata saranam abhayam mam niyunksha atmadasi. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhyalila 22:16. O my Lord, there is no limit to the unwanted orders of the lusty desires. Although I have rendered these desires so much service, they have not shown any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them, nor have I even desired to give them up. O my Lord, O head of the Yadu dynasty, recently, however, my intelligence has been awakened and now I am giving them up. Due to transcendental intelligence, I now refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires. And I now come to you to surrender myself at your fearless lotus feet. Kindly engage me in your personal service and save me. So this was actually there at higher level. I'm not at this level, so it doesn't apply to me. So I'm at the lowest level. So let's see at four Kumaras how they are instructing how we can remove this anger. So they are instructing in beautiful verses. O king, you have rare fixed attachment to discussing about the qualities of the lotus feet of the Lord. That washes away the contamination of lust within the mind. This lust means the desires, separate enjoyment, desires separately from the Lord. So that is the cause of the next, the anger, frustration, illusion, all those are next. This is the first, that's anger brother or anger sister. Has been described. You ask what is beneficial for yourself, but you already have what is most beneficial. Fixed up attachment to the Lord. Lust is like a, Krsna Chakra talks about it. Lust is like a mineral dye, kashayam, which cannot be removed. But attachment to chanting the Lord's qualities removes the dye completely. Since you have that attachment, contamination is impossible in you. Now you may question, you're saying attachment to that. How can you develop attachment? Then Kumara is describing that in multiple verses. Attachment for the Lord takes place by faith, by inquisitive about the process of bhakti, by steadiness in Atma Yoga, by worship of the great yogis, by pure discussions about the Lord on a daily basis, not weekly basis. When I am available, I will join Prabhu. No, that's not. It is daily basis. So we should try our endeavor our best as much as possible, despite we have so many obligations, so many duties. We have to endeavor it. Then only there is progress. Otherwise, there is no progress. It is very difficult. Kali Yuga, we all know how difficult it is. So that's why it's a daily basis, not weekly basis, not monthly basis. So now he is describing further on this attachment. How do we develop attachment? Attachment to the Lord takes place by disgust with a material friendship related to persons who accumulate wealth or enjoy the senses. By not accepting those goals and by taste for solitary living, with the satisfaction in the self, as long as one cannot release the nectar of Lord's qualities. One should have no attraction for associating with persons desiring to accumulate wealth or who are attached to material enjoyment. If one attains a taste for hearing about the Lord, one gives up living alone and being self-satisfied. One desires to go to gatherings to release Krishna's pastimes in presence of other speakers. Krsna Namananda commenting on this, giving this aspect. So this is intimate association. Obviously, we cannot avoid. We have to purchase groceries and whatnot. So many people are there. This is serious instruction. Those who are joining, starting Krishna consciousness, no need to get bewildered. So just continue on devotion service. Those who want to progress seriously. So this instruction is for them. So at different level, different instructions are being given. So, but this has to be given so that we understand how we can progress seriously. Attachment to the Lord appears by non-violence, by practices leading to a peaceful mind. This non-violence, Prabhupada gives you a big purport on this 4, 22, 23, 24, 22, 23, 24 verses, almost 7-8 verses. One of the verse purport on this non-violence is talking in great detail. We shouldn't be violent against any living entity. He's talking about in great detail. By practices leading to a peaceful mind, by tasting the sweetness of excellent pastimes of the Lord, by practicing yama and niyama with no material desires, by not criticizing others. This also is talking about in great detail. Not criticizing even those who are following Maya, not criticizing even those who are karmis, not criticizing those who are worshipping demigod, not criticizing anyone, even they might be. Rather, you encourage them in following and gradually bring them up, but don't criticize them, don't impede them. Prabhupada is writing a big purport on that verse. So, in this fourth canto. So Vishwanath Chakra talking, Rati appears by practices leading to a peace and by relishing the sweet, excellent pastimes of the Lord according to the conduct instructed by Guru. A very important point. What Guru is instructing, that means we have to hear from Guru, then we know what is instructing us. Otherwise, we will not even know. So we should note down what the simple instruction, general instruction for everybody, what is more appropriate for each individual. That may be different, but general instructions applies to everybody. Though at least we should note down. And when he gives personal instruction, that also we should note down and try to follow as much as possible. Further, he's talking about attachment to the Lord who has no material qualities and detachment from the good and bad of the material world quickly appear by constantly discussing with increasing bhakti the Lord's qualities which are pleasing to the devotees here. That means constantly discussing. We have to hear, and then we have to discuss. We have to confidentially share and discuss. But hardly, this is not done regularly. So that's where, we don't know where we are, what position we are in, what we are lacking, what deficiencies we have, how to overcome that. We have to discuss. Guru is not going to present with you, next to you. We are not Arjuna. So we have to discuss confidentially. Whether we like it, or most of the time we don't like it. We don't want to share what deficiency we have. We like to share what we are good at. But that's not really helping in progress. So we should be ready to share with those confidentially, those we have confidence in. So otherwise it becomes very difficult to give up our tendencies to be separate from Guru, separate from Mr. Prabhupada and previous acharyas. Here Vishwanath Chakra talking. Discussing about the Lord has already been mentioned, but because it is essential to bhakti, it is again mentioned. Tatpara means devotees. Kara means ornament of the ear, detachment. Asanga means from the auspicious and inauspicious aspect of the world, Sat and Asat, which are not spiritual. And attachment to the Lord arises by these methods. And further is talking about when fixed attachment to the Lord appears, a person with devotion to Guru burns up the subtle body made of ahankara with the five kleshas, which covers the jiva by means of power of knowledge and detachment arising from the attachment to the Lord. Just as a fire arising from wood burns wood, then what happens? One who has devotion to Guru burns up the powerless, subtle body composed of ahankara, covering kosham, the jiva, by the influence of Gnana and Vairagya, which was arisen by attachment to the Lord. That subtle body is composed of five kleshas: ignorance, ego, attachment, hatred, and absorption. Just as fire arising from the kindling stick burns the stick, so attachment for the Lord, which arises in the material subtle body, intelligence and senses, burn up the subtle body. The logical structure should be one burns up the subtle body by attachment to the Lord, just as one burns up wood by fire. One more is there. I will stop with that. when the subtle body and all its effects have been destroyed and one no longer sees the external sense objects, internal disturbances are the obstacle to seeing Paramatma that previously existed. Just as one waking up, a person no longer sees objects experienced in his dream. Then what happens? When the subtle body has been destroyed, so then automatically we will awaken to the highest consciousness, transcendental consciousness. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Supposed to discuss about Sri Sanatana Goswami's glories, but no time. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Chatussanat Four Kumaras ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Sorry for the disturbances at home.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Krsna Babu. In fact, we were not hearing any disturbance. So, thank you. It was nice seeing you. India Dham. We will like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Singho, Jaya Singho, Jaya Singho, Praladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa, Ugraviram, Mahavishnu, Sarvatomukam, Ashika, Peshanam, Badram, Nityamitim, Namahyam. Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai, Maharaj ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Samar Vaishnavas. Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Hare Bo. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.